The cold wind cut through the narrow streets of a small town in Ohio, rattling the windows of rundown houses and making every step feel heavier. Outside a dimly lit pizza shop, Rachel, a 29-year-old single mother, crouched on the cracked sidewalk with her 6-year-old son, Caleb, by her side. Her hands trembled as she counted the last coins she had, each one clinking painfully against the others in her palm. The faded gray hoodie she wore hung loosely over her thin frame, and the worn jeans she had patched a dozen times did little to shield her from the biting December chill. Caleb tugged at her sleeve, looking up with wide, trusting eyes, unaware of the hopelessness in his mother's expression. Rachel's heart ached, knowing she couldn't even afford the small pizza they had hoped to share tonight. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in moments that can change lives forever, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel now. Rachel had lost count of how many nights she had skipped meals just to make sure Caleb had something in his stomach. The divorce from her ex-husband had left her in mounting debt, and a string of odd jobs barely covered rent, let alone groceries. Today, after working at a diner for 12 hours, she had hoped to treat Caleb to a small comfort, a warm pizza, something to make him smile after a long day. But the coins in her hand barely amounted to half the price of a small pie, leaving her stomach twisted with anxiety. The tiny pizza shop, glowing faintly in the evening light, seemed like a distant dream she couldn't reach. As Rachel hesitated at the entrance, biting her lip and whispering a silent apology to Caleb for what she could not afford, a sleek black car rolled slowly past the curb. Inside sat Robert, a billionaire entrepreneur in town for a charity event, taking a rare evening stroll through the neighborhood anonymously. Something about the sight of Rachel and Caleb, her weary eyes, the careful way she stacked coins, his small fingers reaching for her hand, stopped him mid-thought. He could see the struggle in every line on her face, every tremor in her hands. He watched as she dropped a penny, almost missing it, and Caleb hurried to pick it up, placing it carefully in her palm. The world seemed to slow down around them. Rachel finally pushed open the door, but the weight of her shame made her hesitate again, as if the very act of entering a place that represented something as small as a pizza was an impossible luxury. Robert, feeling a pull he couldn't explain, stepped out of the car. He didn't announce himself, didn't reveal his wealth. Instead, he quietly walked inside the shop, observing the mother and child from a corner booth. He watched as Rachel reluctantly laid out her coins, counting them one last time, the clerk shaking his head gently, knowing the amount wouldn't cover the bill. Caleb's eyes, wide with disappointment, flicked nervously between his mother and the pizza he longed for. Without a word, Robert walked over and placed a generous tip on the counter. He handed the clerk an envelope that could cover the entire night's orders and more. Then he simply said, "Take care of them," before returning to his booth and watching the small scene unfold. Rachel, completely unaware of who had stepped in, felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes as the clerk handed her the steaming pizza box. Caleb's face lit up with a joy so pure it made Rachel's heart ache all over again. She knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around his small shoulders, feeling a warmth she hadn't felt in months. They ate on the curb, the cold air swirling around them, but for the first time in weeks, Rachel felt a sense of peace. She looked at Caleb laughing, wiping grease from his small fingers, and realized that kindness still existed in the world, even in moments of despair. She didn't know who had made this miracle happen, but in that moment, she knew that life could surprise you in the most unexpected ways. She held Caleb close, silently promising herself that she would find a way to give back, to pay forward the generosity that had changed this evening forever. As the night grew darker, Robert slipped out, leaving behind only the faint memory of a billionaire who had chosen to be invisible, yet whose actions had altered the course of 2 lives. He didn't want recognition or gratitude, only the quiet satisfaction of knowing that sometimes, even the smallest gestures can carry immeasurable weight. Rachel, clutching Caleb close, felt something in her chest lift, a spark of hope she thought she had long forgotten. It wasn't just pizza that had been delivered that night, it was dignity, relief, and the reminder that love and compassion could pierce through the coldest circumstances. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power of generosity and small acts of kindness, please comment, like, and share this video to inspire someone else today. Rachel's journey didn't end with that pizza, it was only the beginning. That night, she returned home with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to tackle her struggles with resilience she hadn't known she possessed. Caleb slept soundly, clutching his half-eaten slice as though it were a treasure. Rachel knew that the world could be harsh, but it could also be miraculous, and in those moments of quiet, between mother and child, she felt the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Before you go, comment below to let us know if you've ever witnessed a stranger's kindness change your life. Your story could inspire thousands.